last 7 days of the federal government mandate take over this action. Prior to that, he has to look in the mirror. It's his fault. He runs the state. I'd like your opinion on these two things. Thank you very much.
888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. I am Larry Elder. We are ReliefFactor.com studio. To quote Jen Psaki, I'm going to have to circle back with you on that. I got to get going. Now, Dr. Fauci, and I mentioned this last night on 60 Minutes, on Hannity's show. Dr. Fauci on 60 Minutes, March 8th. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. It might protect you a little bit, but... And then later on he said, you remember? Well, the reason I said that is because I didn't want there to be a run on surgical masks that are needed for first-line healthcare professionals and older people. I don't think he was making a strategic lie, as he later on said he was. I think he lied about the lie, and I'll tell you why. That's another one we ought to ban, Mr. McConnell. I'll tell you why. Mr. McConnell and I were talking about expressions that people use, just hangers that people use, like "I'm like," and me personally, or let me be frank. I'll be honest. What have you been before? So what did I just say? I forget. What did I just say? You forget too. Good. So Fauci, I believe that he lied about lying because it's such a fundamental thing. Are masks good or bad? And he gave a pretty definitive answer that they don't protect that much. He also said he wants these masks later on. He said, well, the reason I said that is because I wanted the mask to be preserved. I didn't want people to run on the mask like toilet paper when the masks are necessary, especially the surgical ones, the N95 ones, for the frontline healthcare professionals. I believe that Dr. Fauci, when he made that comment, was going on the best available data he had. Not that he was lying or anything. He's not perfect. This is a fast-changing situation, and I think later on, Dr. Fauci changed his mind. He wasn't lying at the time, as he later on said.
Right now in the United States, people should not be walking around with masks.
You're sure of it? Because people are listening really closely to this.
Right now, people should not be walking. There's no reason to be walking around with a mask. When you're in the middle of an outbreak, wearing a mask might make people feel a little bit better. And it might.
Do you think he was lying? Do you think he said to himself as he was speaking, this really isn't true? I don't believe that. I believe he was giving an answer, an honest answer as he saw it, based upon the information that he had, the science that he had. And my point is, everybody got this thing wrong. You got Fauci in January 21st? Saying this really isn't that big of a deal. I think we got this. It's something that we got our handle on. That's what he said. He was wrong. And according to an article in the New York Post yesterday, written by Miranda Devine of Fox News, the biggest obstacle in Donald Trump's wish to impose travel restrictions on China was, wait for it, Dr. Fauci. Peter Navarro said he recommended that there be restrictions on China travel, and this biggest opponent who thought it was overreaction was Dr. Fauci. And again, I'm not saying Dr. Fauci is a bad guy. I'm just saying this Mount Rushmore business about this man. He gave inconsistent information about face masks. He gave inconsistent information about gestation periods. Gave inconsistent information about whether or not you are transmissible if you're asymptomatic. Different information about whether or not the schools should shut down. On and on and on. But Donald Trump mishandled this. Dr. Fauci, was he one of those who really thought Donald Trump, in announcing Operation Warp Speed, would have it done by the end of 2020? Do you really think Dr. Fauci felt that way? Not likely. It's one of the reasons states are scrambling around trying to figure out how to make sure this vaccine gets into people's arms. They didn't expect it to come online so quickly. And again, the inherent inconsistencies, inefficiencies of government. The same government that Democrats want to turn over our entire healthcare system to. Think about it. Now, some say there might be 100 million folks struggling with some kind of pain, whether from exercise or just getting older. If you have back pain, shoulder, neck, hip, foot, knee pain from exercise, or just getting older, consider ordering the 3-week Quick Start. Discounted to only $19.95. It's got 4 100% drug-free ingredients, each of which deals with pain from a different metabolic pathway. $19.95, less than $1 a day to see if we can get you out of pain. After that, we're talking about less than the cost of a cup of coffee a day to stay out of pain. So give your body what it needs to heal itself. Go to relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com, or call 800-500-8384. 800-500-8384.
Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Hey, Mike, this is Tom in Chicago. It costs $20 million a day for the Senate to convene. They're wasting more money when they have the people's work to do. Just what is wrong with these people?
Great question. I wish I had the answer. Well, I've got a couple of answers. Senator Rand Paul this week on Fox News suggested what will happen to the Republican Party if Republicans go along with this cockamamie plan to convict Trump of inciting an insurrection.
My fear is that if Republicans, particularly Republican leadership, goes along with this impeachment, they'll destroy the party. And so I think it's a huge mistake. I think it's a hugely partisan exercise on the part of the Democrats. But for Republicans who go along with it, I think they'll destroy our party. Donald Trump isn't everything in the party, but he did bring a lot of people to the party. And I think it's a huge mistake for people to say, oh, well, we're just going to impeach him and that all of the blue-collar workers that he brought to our party are going to stay. No, I think quite a few of them will be unhappy. So I hope our leadership will think twice about these undercurrents and rumblings about them actually voting for impeachment. I sure hope it doesn't happen.
That was Senator Rand Paul during the inaugural ceremonies. That was the band and all that in the background. He was on Fox News.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
The number of people in this country who have to hide what they believe is in the many tens of millions. I try not to politicize the happiness hour, but politics impinges terribly, unfortunately. Over the course of the last few years, during the time when life was normal and you could travel normally, and I had lectures just about every week and flew just about every week, people would come over to me in airports. There has not been a time in decades that I have not been approached at an airport by at least one person. And in the last few years, something very ominous has taken place. People will look around before they say anything to me, and then in a hushed voice tell me that they are conservative or supported the president at the time, President Trump. That Americans need to look around before they tell you their political preference is new in American history. So that means, getting back to my theme, that a lot of you hide who you are much of your life. Like at work. That is not a happiness-inducing .
Yeah, Larry, Ron from Chicago. I really find it funny with COVID. Here we are in America. We have the most advanced medical, the best doctors, the best hospitals. I mean, everything, the best medicines, you name it. We are the most technologically advanced medical system in the world. Yet with COVID, we are 4% of the world's population, and yet we're sitting at 20% of the world's debts. Something's not kosher here, Larry. Something's not right. I think the COVID debts are being way, way, way overinflated, my friend.
888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. I am Larry Elder. We are ReliefFactor.com studio. Frankly, I don't trust much these numbers at all. There's an incentive for the hospitals to describe people who died of other illnesses as attributable to COVID-19. We have no idea how many people really have been infected and either suffered very mild symptoms or no symptoms at all. We don't know. We just don't know. Remember the advice early on? You've got the governor of New York putting COVID-positive patients in nursing homes, for crying out loud, ordering people to stay at home, even if you're at home with somebody who's older and far more susceptible to getting COVID-19. Much of the advice we were given early was just flat out wrong. Now, you know, out here in Hollywood, a whole bunch of celebrities are jumping the vaccine line. But as I was saying to Hannity and to Leo Terrell last night, this is Hollywood.
Well, Sean, I was raised in this town, and I am shocked that there's hypocrisy on the part of Hollywood elites. This is a town that is adamantly against guns, yet the movies they make are shoot-em-ups, and the executives live behind private security walls, long walls with private security. This is a town that is adamantly in favor of the party that raises taxes. 90% of the contributions in this town go to the Democratic Party, yet then they go to Sacramento and lobby for tax exemptions and tax credits to absolve them from the taxes that they voted for. It's also a town that's adamantly against climate change, yet you find the Hollywood elite flying around in private jets, in limos, gas-guzzling SUVs. So hypocrisy is the currency of Hollywood, Sean. Don't be surprised.
And this Virginia father told the school board he has had it with these school closures. Even the CDC now is saying that people ought to go back to school.
Yep. You should all be fired from your day jobs because...
He's speaking before the Virginia school board.
If your employers knew that you were more inefficient than the DMV, you would be replaced in a heartbeat. I literally just finished a conference call because I'm having to multitask to be here to address you guys. You're a bunch of cowards hiding behind our children as an excuse for keeping schools closed. You think you're some sort of martyrs because of the decisions you're making when the statistics do not lie that the vast majority of the population is not at risk from this virus. The garbage workers who pick up my freaking trash risk their lives every day more than anyone in this school system. Figure it out or get off the podium. Because you know what? There are people like me and a line of other people out there who will gladly take your seat and figure it out. It's not a high bar. Raise the freaking bar.
I'm going to give staff an opportunity to make sure that the podium and microphone have been...
Please wipe it down ahead of time, please, because we don't want anything to affect us.
Sir, your time is finished. Can you please leave the boardroom?
It's okay. Don't worry.
Thank you.
I'll be back next time, and the next time, to open the freaking school!
Can I ask the deputy to please make sure the gentleman leaves the boardroom?
Come on, I'll walk out with you. There's another one out there. All right, let's walk.
And as you know, the Chicago Teachers Union does not want to go back to school because they feel it's unsafe. Biden is siding with them.
Teachers Union has refused. They've defied an order to return to in-person classrooms because of a lack of vaccinations. Do you believe, sir, that teachers should return to schools now?
I believe we should make school classrooms safe and secure for the students, for the teachers, and for the help that's in those schools maintaining the facilities. We need new ventilation systems in those schools. We need testing for people coming in and out of the classes. We need testing for teachers as well as students. And we need the capacity to know that, in fact, the circumstance in the school is safe and secure for everyone. For example, there's no reason why the clear guidance will be that every school should be thoroughly sanitized. from the laboratories to the hallways. And so this is about making, and none of the school districts that I'm aware of, there may be some, public school districts, have insisted that all those pieces be in place. And I might add, it's the same kind of thing I hope we can do with small businesses and businesses, making sure they have the capacity to test their workers when they come in, to make sure they have plastic dividers between their booths and in their restaurants, etc., to make sure they can sanitize. So it's not so much about the idea teachers aren't going to work. The teachers I know, they want to work. They just want to work in a safe environment, and as safe as we can rationally make it, and we can do that, and we should be able to open up every school, kindergarten through 8th grade, if in fact we administer these tests. And it'll have the added advantage, I might add, of putting millions of people back to work. All those mothers and fathers that are home taking care of their children rather than go to work even when they can work. They're not able to do it unless they have the luxury of working distance-wise like many of us do. They're not able to do it.
Boy, he sure has moved the goalposts around on coronavirus. Here are his various shifting statements.
We're going to beat this virus. We're going to get it under control. I am not going to shut down the economy, period. I'm going to shut down the virus as this pandemic rages on, because there's nothing we can do to change the trajectory of the pandemic in the next several months. Well, I'm going to shut down the virus, but I never said I'd do it in 2 months. I said it took a long time to get here. It's going to take a long time to beat it.
So what date, or roughly when do you think anyone who wants one would be able to get it? Is it summer? Is it fall?
Oh, I know. I think it'll be this spring.
The fact is, every American is not going to be eligible this spring.
We want to give credit to everyone involved in this vaccine effort and the prior administration, but it's also no secret that we have recently discovered in the final days of the transition, and it wasn't until the final days we got the kind of cooperation we needed, that once we arrived, the vaccine program is in worse shape than we anticipated or expected.
Now here's what Alyssa from Tiffin, Ohio said about Pure Talk. My family had Sprint for many years, and we always thought the price was not worth what we were getting. We made the switch to Pure Talk, and we couldn't be happier. We're saving almost $100 a month, and the service is as good, if not better. I'm also a customer. I can tell you the service is superb, but don't just take my word for it. Pure Talk is a top-rated wireless company by Consumer Affairs. Unlimited talk, text, and 6 gigs of data for $30 a month. If you go over data usage, they won't charge you for it. So get your mobile phone, dial pound 250, say Larry Elder when you do, 50% off your first month. Again, dial pound 250, say keyword Larry Elder, because Pure Talk is simply smarter wireless.
Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Senator Tom Cotton, good morning, Senator. Welcome. Good to talk to you. I know you believe a trial of former President Trump is unconstitutional. Is that the majority view of the Republican caucus?
Hugh, I think Senate Republicans are coming around to that view as they think more about it. I think for most Americans, it's just a very common sense position, though. The Democrats want to have a trial to convict and remove from office a man who left office yesterday. And by the time we get around to that trial in a few more days, that's going to be an even stranger proposition. Why are the Democrats spending the Senate's time in an obsessive inquest against a private citizen when we could be focused on what really matters, like getting more vaccines out to Americans or helping Americans get back to work, or defending this country from the threats we face abroad? That's just the common sense view of things, Hugh. Now, I think the Constitution really couldn't be much plainer. It says that the President, the Vice President, and civil officers of the United States shall be subject to impeachment, conviction, and removal from office. Donald Trump is none of those things now. And to put a punctuation mark on that, Hugh, the reports I'm hearing in the Senate is that the Democrats propose not to have John Roberts preside over this trial because the Chief Justice only presides over the trial against the President. And if that's in fact their position, they are admitting that Donald Trump is no longer the President and therefore is not susceptible to impeachment proceedings. The whole thing, again, to me just shows how obsessive the Democrats and the media have become about Donald Trump over these last 5 years. Donald Trump may no longer live in the White House, but he is living rent-free in the heads of Democrats and the media.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas.
Larry, I love your show. I hope much as well. And I have a question for you. I love your mind. I think that's one of the reasons we tune in. Your mind, sense of humor, and the way the show rolls, man. But listen, this thing about the airlines talking about requiring a negative COVID-19 test within 3 days of boarding an airplane, even for a domestic flight. Why would you just test for COVID-19? I mean, shouldn't you test for HIV? Is it okay just to take HIV overseas now? I guess it is. And why not get tested for hepatitis? You know, there's types of hepatitis you can just pick up sitting next to the person on the plane. There's even a little gene you can pick up that literally makes you gain like 100 pounds. It's been known for many, many years. So how many viruses are we going to test for? Why stop at COVID-19, my man? I don't see it. So anyway, explain it to me, Sage. Love you, brother.
888-971-SAGE 971-7243. I don't understand any of this. You know, we have to have social distancing. You get on a plane, you're sitting right next to somebody, you're not social distancing, you're wearing a mask. And somehow, some way, they're able to do it. Now, we were talking earlier about Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell got a cease and desist letter from Dominion, and they're threatening to sue him for defamation unless he retracts some of the statements he's been making. And Mike, as with Rudy Giuliani, said, bring it on. Well, customers have now launched a boycott of Bed Bath & Beyond for canceling Mike Lindell. It's called the Media Action Network, and it said as a result of its boycott, dozens of shoppers simply walked away from their shopping carts at the checkout counter. Guy who's doing this is an ardent supporter of Trump. And the organization put out a statement, quote, "Stop promoting cancel. You buckle to pressure. Removing MyPillow products because Mike Lindell's politics, it's un-American. Our country was founded on the principle of free speech and open debate. These days, censorship and suppression are far too common, and you're now part of the problem. You have that right, of course, but realize you are antagonizing half of your customers, and we've had enough. We're tired of corporate big shots looking down on our beliefs. Reverse this decision now and get out of politics, or we're done with you forever," end of quote. There's a petition that's now got about 10,000 signatures allowing consumers to join the effort. One real estate investor in the Bay Area joined the effort and said, if you cancel one American, you cancel all Americans. That's wrong. Mike Lindell was canceled because of support for President Trump by Bed Bath & Beyond, Wayfair, and Kohl's. When do we lose our free speech rights? End of quote. It's on. I'm Larry Elder.
Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
You've been unafraid to wear the Make America Great Again hat, the Keep America Great hat. I guess when you win, you could do whatever you want.
That's true. And, I don't have these owners or people telling me what I got to do, or the woke mob, trying to cancel me. We're independent contractors in the UFC. So, my beliefs, my freedoms don't stop there. I get to do whatever I want, say what I want, and I'm not going to be muzzled.
Yeah, what I love is seeing on ESPN, and they have to air your post-fight interview. You're wearing that beautiful Keep America Great hat. It's terrific. What's been the response from other fighters from that? Do some not like it? Some ask you to stop?
Some people, they get jealous. They want to follow that trend. They see that, the numbers that it's doing, and that call with the president on fight night, I had 10 million viewers on the ESPN page, so they can't deny me. I'm undeniable. Yeah. That's the highest rated and numbers the show's ever done with that call. So, I think a lot of people, they want to follow in those steps, but they don't want to receive the backlash. There's a lot of negative that comes with being a Trump supporter or a Republican, It's not a cool thing.
I don't think Antifa is going to mess with you anytime soon, though.
I hope so, man. I was telling President, send me out there, man. Put me in the middle of the Antifa, man. Let me go.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
What do we make of Joe Biden occupying the White House? Because I have a lot of thoughts on it. Well, my main question is, what are your thoughts of where we are now?
We are in the midst of a new administration that is going to radically change every single piece of government that they touch. We have seen in the first 24 hours the signing of some 17 executive orders that have stopped the border wall construction. They have renewed visa permits coming from countries where people cannot be vetted, like Syria and Iran and Yemen. They have engaged our enemies in a completely different way. I mean, by that, China and Iran and Russia. They have already spent tax dollars that you and I have paid to help fund abortions that have already happened in other countries outside of our borders now. These are all things that they came in on day one, signed 17 different pieces of paper, and are already transforming American policy in all of these different areas into a very different direction.
But this is obviously what America wanted, is it not?
That's what we're told. That's what we have evidently walked through the process to approve of. And the question now becomes, what do Americans think about what they've gotten? And are they going to have buyer's remorse? If people thought that the unity that we heard so much about yesterday was going to be anything that resembled actual unity, they were mistaken.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Dennis Prager
Show. You believe that this is unique in the history of vaccinations?
Well, vaccines been around for thousands of years. They told us before we got the vaccine, they want us to watch this PowerPoint about how vaccines are started, why people don't want to take it, all the different misconceptions and myths about vaccines. This particular vaccine, the Moderna one that I took, you don't get the coronavirus. They don't give it to you. It just creates a particular protein that prevents you to get it.
I understand. That's right. So when do you see us ever getting rid of masks?
I don't know. I just wish that one day we don't have to wear a mask. But right now, you have to wear a mask because you can still get the virus with this vaccine, both with the Pfizer and the Moderna, and you can still transfer it to someone else. It just, because it just not makes you very sick. It lessens the effects of the respiratory illnesses that you'd be getting if you didn't have the vaccine. Well, if it lessens the
effects, what do I care?
You can still transfer it to somebody else.
Yeah, so I understand. So what?
The reason why we wear the mask
so then it's not wait. You said that the reason we wear a mask is because you may get the virus. Now it's that you may transmit the virus.
The reason why we wear the mask is so we prevent it from transferring it to somebody else. If we still get the virus.
I didn't want to catch you. The beginning was that you could get it, so you could transfer it. So if people know that they are in an environment where virtually everybody is vaccinated, will they stop wearing masks?
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Mike Gallagher Show.
Senator Lindsey Graham last night with Sean Hannity on Fox News.
I had a great meeting with Senator McConnell today. I think every Republican sees the House process as an affront to the presidency and due process. So what's going to happen? If she delivers the articles to us, they'll have to be disposed of under the process of the Senate. If we could get 51 senators to dismiss, it's all over. There's more than a handful of Democrats praying that Joe Biden will get on the phone and call Schumer and say it's over, because they understand this is going to blow up in their face politically. I've never felt better about the Republican Senate conference being united behind the idea that what the House did was wrong in terms of process, and I think we're going to have an overwhelming Republican vote that this second impeachment of Donald Trump is unconstitutional.
Well, that was last night. Today, Chuck Schumer announced that Pelosi has informed him that the article of impeachment against President Trump will be delivered to the Senate on Monday, which paves the way for a trial. It's obviously a developing story. We're going to see what happens next. We're going to see what Republicans are made of. And honestly, I don't know that Rand Paul is incorrect. I think Rand Paul is absolutely right. There's been all this talk about a Patriot Party, a third party. If Republicans are stupid enough to vote to convict a guy who's already out of office of impeachment, of inciting an insurrection, there won't be a Republican Party left.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
The question is on immigration. I asked Peter Baker yesterday if the president's new proposal of an 8-year path to citizenship and stopping the wall was an opening bid or a bottom line. And he agreed with me that if it's a bottom line, it's dead on arrival. Do you agree with that?
Well, I certainly hope so, and I'll do everything I can to make it so. But let's remember,
Triple 971 SAGE 888-971-7243. I am Larry Elder. We are ReliefFactor.com studio. Some intelligent life on the Democratic side. Here is Tulsi Gabbard slamming Adam Schiff, John Brennan, and Big Tech. Says that they are bigger villains than the people at the January 6th protest.
The mob that stormed the Capitol on January 6th to try to stop Congress from carrying out its constitutional responsibilities were behaving like domestic enemies of our country. But let's be clear. The John Brennans, Adam Schiffs, and the oligarchs in big tech who are trying to undermine our constitutionally protected rights and turn our country into a police state with KGB-style surveillance are also domestic enemies and much more powerful and therefore dangerous than the mob that stormed the Capitol.
Why is this woman a Democrat?
Now, John Brennan said,
So I know looking forward that the members of the Biden team who have been nominated or have been appointed are now moving in laser-like fashion to try to uncover as much as they can about what looks very similar to insurgency movements that we've seen overseas, where they germinate in different parts of the country and they gain strength, and it brings together an unholy alliance frequently of religious extremists, authoritarians, fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, even libertarians.
Libertarians too? Nobody escapes.
They gain strength, and it brings together an unholy alliance frequently of religious extremists, authoritarians, fascists, bigots, racists, nativists, even libertarians.
Now, President Biden, I call upon you and all members of Congress from both parties to denounce these efforts by the likes of Brennan and others to take away our civil liberties that are endowed to us by our Creator and guaranteed in our Constitution. If you don't stand up to these people now, then our country will be in great peril.
I will repeat, Donald Trump lost his election 40 40,000 votes, according to Steve Kornacki, the political analyst on MSNBC, so you know this must be legitimate. 40,000 votes, 3 states. His opposition included, but was not limited to, many members of his own party, of course, the Democrats, the media, big tech, all the major professional organizations like the Bar Association, the American Medical Association. They didn't publicly come out and make a statement, but you know how they felt. Academia got outspent 2-1. Virtually no support the first time he ran in 2016 from Republicans in the Congress. The first time he ran, 2 newspapers with circulations over 100,000 endorsed him. Dozens endorsed Hillary. This time around, you know how many newspapers endorsed Trump? Despite the economy that was rocking and rolling until COVID-19, despite doing something about illegal immigration, despite stopping the caravans, despite getting NATO to pony up more money, something that both Biden and Obama, and George W. Bush complained about. I think George Herbert Walker Bush complained about it too. Donald Trump complained about it and did something about it. Only 6 newspapers, even though China has now modified some of its nefarious behavior. Only 6 endorsements, even though John Kerry said there's no way you're going to get a peace deal with any of the Gulf states without Palestinian buy-in. I've talked to them recently, and I just talked to them recently, and they told me there's no way. Deal after deal after deal. UAE, Bahrain, Sudan, Morocco. Still only 6 newspapers. Why? Because he's racist. And because he encouraged a, quote, incitement to insurrection, close quote, by simply saying, patriotically and peacefully march, fight like hell. A political expression used over and over and over again by both parties. Only 6 newspapers. And still the man only lost by about 40,000 votes. Remember, his policy didn't lose. Now, one of the things that Susan Rice said yesterday is that we're going to make sure that there's equity for Asian Americans. I pulled out something called prosperitynow.org. Racial wealth snapshot. Asian Americans. Quote, Asian Americans as a whole earn more than any racial category in the United States. Indian Americans earn more. Filipino Americans earn more. Japanese Americans, Chinese Americans, Pakistani Americans, Vietnamese Americans, Korean Americans. Thai Americans are almost the same as the U.S. national average. But we have to make sure that there's equity. These guys are all about making sure that you don't have any more than this person has. So I'm trying to figure out if you're concerned about people having more stuff than other people. Asian Americans have more stuff than other people do. So the whole thing is incredibly, incredibly offensive. When have things broken out the way they break out in our population? Population is what, 60% white? Is 60% of the NBA white? Honestly, I saw a picture of the employees at Apple. Big picture. It didn't appear that 13% of them were black. Now, maybe they were very light skinned. Maybe the lighting was bad. You couldn't tell. Don't know. It didn't appear they were 13% black. So is Apple, when they hire engineers and Apple hires the best of the best of the best, are they engaging in systemic racism, given that their workforce does not reflect the diversity of America? Do they choose orchestra players this way? 50% of the orchestra player has to be male, 50% of the philharmonic has to be female, 13% have to be black, 15% Hispanic, 9% Asian. Is that the way it works? The new president has signed an executive order. He's also signed an executive order killing the Keystone XL pipeline, but he's also signed an executive order today elevating climate change, pausing oil and gas leasing on federal property. And when he signed the executive order to cancel the Keystone pipeline, Pete Buttigieg, his nominee for Secretary of Transportation, testified, and he had the following exchange with Ted Cruz.
I will say it was disconcerting to see yesterday, the first day of the Biden administration, straight out of the gate, President Biden announced that he was canceling the Keystone pipeline. That is a major infrastructure project. That is a project that right now today has 1,200 good-paying union jobs. And in 2021, the Keystone pipeline was scheduled to have more than 11,000 jobs, including 8,000 union jobs, for contracts worth $1.6 billion.
But the good news is that Mayor Pete says, we're going to get you better jobs.
Those workers continue to be employed in good-paying union jobs, even if they might be different ones.
Well, I fear that decision is the front end of a whole series of regulatory decisions. One,
you may lose that job, or we're going to get you another job, a better job, a job you're going to like even more. So don't worry about it. Not quite sure when I'm going to get you that job, whether it's going to pay the same, have the same benefits, but it'll be less offensive to our climate. I'm Larry Elder.
Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
The number of people in this country who have to hide what they believe is in the many tens of millions. I try not to politicize the happiness hour, but politics impinges terribly, unfortunately. Over the course of the last few years, during the time when life was normal and you could travel normally, and I had lectures just about every week and flew just about every week, people would come over to me in airports. There has not been a time in decades that I have not been approached at an airport by at least one person. And in the last few years, something very ominous has taken place. People will look around before they say anything to me, and then in a hushed voice tell me that they are conservative or supported the president at the time, President Trump. That Americans need to look around before they tell you their political preference is new in American history. So that means, getting back to my theme, that a lot of you hide who you are much of your life, like at work. That is not a happiness-inducing situation, is it? So, in light of that, you need to find kindred spirits.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on The Hugh Hewitt Show.
Senator Tom Cotton, good morning, Senator. Welcome. Good to talk to you. I know you believe a trial of former President Trump is unconstitutional. Is that the majority view of the Republican caucus?
Hugh, I think Senate Republicans are coming around to that view as they think more about it. I mean, I think for most Americans, it's just a very common sense position, though. I mean, the Democrats want to have a trial to convict and remove from office a man who left office yesterday. And by the time we get around to that trial in a few more days, that's going to be an even stranger proposition. Why are the Democrats spending the Senate's time in an obsessive inquest against a private citizen when we could be focused on what really matters, like getting more vaccines out to Americans or helping Americans get back to work or defending this country from the threats we face abroad? That's just the common sense view of things, Hugh. Now, I think the Constitution really couldn't be much plainer. It says that the President, the Vice President, and civil officers of the United States shall be subject to impeachment, conviction, and removal from office. Donald Trump is none of those things now. And to put a punctuation mark on that, Hugh, the reports I'm hearing in the Senate is that the Democrats proposed not to have John Roberts preside over this trial because the Chief Justice only presides over the trial against the President. And if that's in fact their position, they are admitting that Donald Trump is no longer the president and therefore is not susceptible to impeachment proceedings. The whole thing, again, to me just shows how obsessive the Democrats and the media have become about Donald Trump over these last 5 years. Donald Trump may no longer live in the White House, but he is living rent-free in the heads of Democrats and the media.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
Hey, Larry, I just heard Joe Biden say that he thought our immigration policies were draconian. So sovereign borders and carefully vetted immigrants are draconian. How about Hungary or Japan or North Korea and many other countries that are far more exclusive? So the purpose of this call is saying, are you kidding me?
888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. I am Larry Elder. We are ReliefFactor.com studio. When I was in college, I didn't go to any of the sports games. I didn't go to any of the basketball games, any of the football games because, sports at Brown, no biggie. But I was told that either almost all or all the cheerleaders were black, even though Brown might have had a population of blacks at those days of maybe 5%, if that. But somehow, some way, I was told that all the cheerleaders were black. I even know somebody who tried out who was black and didn't make it. And apparently the dances or whatever it is they were doing, the white girls didn't do them as well as the black girls did. And even though they were rooting for teams that were predominantly white, the basketball team predominantly white, the football team predominantly white, all the cheerleaders I heard were black. Now, is that a problem? According to Joe Biden, it is. There wasn't sufficient representation. Now, did they rob, cheat, lie, and steal in order to get those jobs? No. So what do you care about whether or not a company has X number of blacks, whites, whatever, provided there was equal opportunity? Ann is in Fort Worth, Texas. Ann, you're on the Larry Elder Show. Thank you so much for calling.
You're welcome. You were talking about earlier the people that were being canceled.
Mm-hmm.
There is a gentleman here in Fort Worth. He is also a House of Representatives member, and he's been on the Board of Trustees for Texas Christian, you understand, Texas Christian University for 20 years, and they're asking him to resign because he did not support the Electoral College fraudulent votes.
Wow. Is he going to resign?
No. He is not.
Is he filing a lawsuit?
Now, what they will do with what's going to happen at that point, I don't know. They're just apparently the board is discussing what they're going to do about the situation.
what they're going to do about the situation. Just because this man believes, as much of America does, as 20% of Democrats do, that the election was fraudulent.
Exactly.
Unbelievable. Well, Ann, yeah, Ann, thank you very much for telling us. John Eastman got canceled. Regular guest on the Larry Elder Show. He's a fellow at the Hoover Institution at Stanford. Been at Chapman College for 40 years? Used to be the dean, for crying out loud. Pressure on the current dean to force him to depart from Chapman. He could have filed a lawsuit. He could have made a stink. Decided not to. Absolutely incredible. Tracy is in Los Angeles. Tracy, you're on the Larry Elder Show. Thank you so much for calling.
Oh, hi. It's an honor to talk to you.
Thank you.
I have a kind of like a two-part question, actually. Is Mexico actually going to be stopping the caravans? And I was thinking about all the 11 million immigrants that are going to get automatic citizenship. I mean, that's going to put more Americans on the street, out of housing and out of their jobs.
Well, absolutely, Tracy. The first part of your question, is Mexico going to stop the caravan? Well, I'm not sure it's going to get up to Mexico, but if it does, the answer is yes. Why? Because of what Donald Trump did. Donald Trump changed the asylum policy so that now, if you are traveling in a caravan from some Central American country or from some South American country, working your way up northward, you have to go to you have to apply for asylum in the first safe country you enter. Mexico has been determined to be a safe country. So, at minimum, if they get as far as Mexico, they have to apply for asylum there. That changes everything. Also, because of the pressure that Trump put on Mexico, they have put their military on their border. So, my feeling is it's not likely to get to our border. There's another reason it won't either, and that's because Joe Biden doesn't want it to. Despite all the stuff that he says about open hearts, open minds, all that stuff, he doesn't want this mess on the border. He doesn't want the images. He doesn't want people to say Donald Trump was right. That's the last thing he wants. Also, these countries that these migrants are going through, they don't want to take off this new administration. They don't want to give the administration a black eye. They don't want to give the administration's enemies any talking point that Joe Biden will blame them for. So for all those reasons, largely because Donald Trump changed how we talk about illegal immigration. At one time, you had to say, I'm opposed to illegal immigration quietly because otherwise you're a racist. Now you can say, what is this? Why is this fair? Now, you said 11 million people will be made legal if Joe Biden gets his way. I want to urge people to disabuse themselves of the idea that there are 11 million illegal aliens in this country. We don't have any idea how many there are. I know this. In '86, when Ronald Reagan granted amnesty, the numbers we always heard were 3 million, 3 million, 3 million. 6 million applied. And there was a study we talked about, 3 Yale researchers, and Bill Clinton went to Yale, so you know it must be a good study. And Hillary went there too. That's how they met. 3 researchers at Yale said the number is probably twice that, maybe as high as 25 million. So don't give me this 11 million stuff. We hear that all the time, 11 million, 11 million, 11 million, 11 million. And it's because the media does not want to tell you what they really think the number is. They have no interest in what the number really is because it'll scare the bejesus out of people. So they always say 11 million, 11 million. It's amazing how that number never seems to change. Jennifer is in Ohio. Jennifer, what part of Ohio?
I am in Central Ohio. I am in a country area north of Columbus.
I know that area you are. You're near Middletown, aren't you?
Nope, not that far. I'm in Marengo is the area it's called. We don't even say towns here. We just say Morrow County.
I'm sorry, what county is it?
Morrow.
Jennifer, I have a question for you. How many counties are there in the state of Ohio?
88.
How did you know that? Booyah. I was amazed how many counties Ohio had, given that Ohio is smaller than California. Ohio, I lived there, as you know, Jennifer, for 17 years. Boatload of counties everywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Anyway, I stepped on what you wanted to talk about, Jennifer. Please, the floor is yours.
So I feel like we are living in Atlas Shrugged, the beginning, before it came out. And I don't know if you've ever watched the movie or read the book.
I have. I've watched the movie and read the book. I tell you what, Jennifer, stay on the line. Let's talk a little bit more on the other side. I read the book and I saw the movie. Don't they have a second part to it, too? I'm Larry Elder.
Trending now on America First with Sebastian Gorka.
You know, I love the free market. Let Rumble do what it's doing. Let Parler find a bloody server. Don't go back to somebody who can just flick a switch. You're creating locals. But I don't want us to end up in conservative ghettos. That's why I love being on Twitter, because ridicule and humor is a massive tool that we can use against crazy people who think you're a racist because of your skin color. What are you expecting in the weeks and months to come? When AOC talks about blacklists, when you see Katie Couric talk about the need to deprogram or re-educate people, how concerned are you that sooner or later we're just going to be in our little ghettos, Dave?
Well, look, it's legit. You know, CNN did a piece this weekend, or was it just 2 or 3 days ago, sorry, about with this Facebook representative saying that, you know, they should basically take Fox News and the rest of them off the air. This is a real problem. And again, a bunch of us, it's like, I accept that CNN exists. I believe it's a propaganda network that is part of the Democratic Party at this point.
But you don't want to shut it down.
I'm not shutting it down. I can make fun of them all the time. These are ridiculous partisan activists. I mean, here, work with me here, Gorka, on this one. You think Jake Tapper is a Democrat? You think Wolf Blitzer is a Democrat? You think Don Lemon's a Democrat? You think Jim Acosta is a Democrat? You think Brian Stelter is a Democrat? We can keep going with this. You think
they
Chris
all
Cuomo's
work for Democrat congressmen. I mean, come on.
Right. But the point is, I'm not telling you that they should be shut down. I'm not trying to get their license yanked off. So I think your point is right. We need to fight to stay on those platforms, of course, and fight where the people are to get the new people. But I think we also have to find our own places that we are going to be protected. That's exactly why I started locals.com.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
The thing I'm super curious about, fight day. What does your day look like? That day must be the longest day of the year.
It feels like, honestly, like a minute is like 2
Forever.
days.
You're like, come on, let's get this over with, right?
Literally.
Do you sleep well the night before?
Nah. Yeah, usually I'm not sleeping, you know.
You're in your hotel room going through.
Yeah. And you just got done doing like the weight cut. So, you know, you just lost 20 pounds and you're completely depleted. You took all the salts out of your body. You're dehydrated because you're pretty much water loading. And then you take all the water and the weight off you and you're just completely dehydrated.
And you weigh in the day before the fight.
You do weigh in the day before the fight. So you got 24 hours to rehydrate and then you fight. So like that whole process is like you're rehydrating, you're trying to put the right nutrients in, but you can't put them in too quick because if you put them in too quick, your stomach and your system's not going to take it and you're going to throw up.
So do you have a nutritionist that comes with you that helps monitor all that?
Yeah, I have a nutritionist. So
it's fascinating. So but it's not just being able to psychologically prepare. You have to, because you're just cutting. You got to make the weight.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's just, you know, you're done. There's no fight. Right?
Well, there's a fight, but then you have to give up 30% of your purse. So if you're fighting for $1 million, you got to give up $300,000.
Have you ever not made the weight?
Never. I'm a true professional. I'm a businessman. You know, when I sign a contract, I'm a man of my word. You know, I'm going to show up and I'm going to make weight and I'm going to handle my business like a businessman.
Wow. And so then the day of the fight, what time do you wake up? What does that look like? What do you do? Do you watch TV? Do you just say like, let's get this day over with as quickly as possible?
Usually when I wake up, I'll have like a bunch of carbs, like some pancakes, because, you know, I've been depleting myself low carbs for a couple weeks. So I'll have some pancakes, you know, I'll have some eggs, some turkey sausage, some healthy stuff. And then it's just visualizing, watching a little bit of tapes to see, you know, what areas a guy's good in and to see what his strengths are and to see what his weaknesses is. And then it's just really just, you know, just being by myself, just making sure it's just my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions. I don't want anybody else. I don't want to hear what anybody else has to say. I want to be selfish in that moment. And that's probably a mean thing to say.
I didn't even read it because it starts off with black family handcuffed, yada yada yada. And it could be a big story. It could not be. But I just thought to myself, everything that happens to black people has to be a black thing, you know? And what terrible way to promote anything good by doing every story in the prism of skin color. And I know as someone who's lived long enough and have, you know, seen all this stuff through your own perspective, this is not going to be the way anything is done to bring people to a commonality. And the media knows this. They do this every day. And when are people, even on the left, going to come out and say, you know, I'm starting to realize a trend here. I'm starting to realize I'm told to see things in an incorrect manner for who to gain. Not us. Take care, Larry. Love your show, man.
888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243, Larry Elder, ReliefFactor.com studio. The Premier of Alberta not happy about the cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline. We'll be talking about all of that and some of the other maneuvers that Joe Biden has made on the issue of immigration in just a second. But back to Jennifer in Ohio. Jennifer says she believes she's living Atlas Shrugged. It was a wonderful book. Did you read Fountainhead too, Jennifer?
I have not read it. It is sitting next to my couch. My 14-year-old claimed it over before me. So he's reading it through, and I'm waiting patiently for it.
Well, they're both.
I've watched the movies.
Yeah, they're both great books. Well, the movie pales in comparison to the book. And by the way, a little factoid, a trivia. You know that movie had the longest uninterrupted soliloquy. All soliloquies by definition are not interrupted, but it's the longest monologue in major motion picture history. At the end of that film, I think he spoke 11 minutes in court.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good piece of knowledge to know.
Yeah, almost 11 minutes. In fact, when Ayn Rand allowed the movie people to make her novel into a movie, she made them commit that nobody would interrupt the courtroom scene, even if it went 11 minutes. She made them sign something. It was way too long for even then for people's sense of patience, but she demanded that as part of the deal for them to make the novel into a movie. It was Gary Cooper who spoke all that time, right? Mm-hmm.
I'm glad that she stuck to her guns there, you know. But yeah, it feels like we're living the prequel to it. I think I'm going to put a sign out in my front yard that says, "Who is John Galt?"
Well, Jennifer, as you know, the whole premise of the movie is that the people that are the makers and the doers are being taxed and regulated. The Atlases who hold up the world. And finally, at some point, Atlas shrugged and said, to hell with this. I'm no longer going to be taxed, spent, and regulated to death. Jennifer, thank you very much for the call. I really do appreciate it. General Manager of the XL Pipeline talked about the impact of Biden's executive order.
Right now, the numbers of jobs are thousands of jobs. There's Michaels, there's Precision Pipeline that would have affected that the pipeline was going to be constructed. The actions that were happened recently, we were doing station work. There's hundreds of guys that got laid off. Was that Tuesday?
Or any live in Wisconsin? Or
yes, a lot of them live in Wisconsin. Yes.
That's an important point to know.
A lot of them living in Wisconsin. The premier of Alberta, Canada, about the Keystone Pipeline says Biden didn't even give them any notice.
I wasn't shocked because his campaign did say that they would veto the presidential permit. Having said that, I was really disappointed that the new president didn't give enough respect to America's closest friend and ally to at least sit down with us and hear our case about how we've reduced carbon emissions from Canada's oil sands, about how this pipeline would operate on a net zero carbon emitting basis, about First Nations, American Native communities that are taking an ownership stake in this, about the huge support of unions, the economic benefits. We have a strong case to make, and we just wish the U.S. administration would let us make that case.
Wow.
We have the third largest oil reserves in the world. We ship about nearly $100 billion worth of energy to the U.S. every year. Keystone XL would have been a significant, safe, modern increase in that shipment. And it is it's very frustrating that one of the first acts of the new president was, I think, to disrespect America's closest friend and ally, Canada, and to kill good-paying union jobs on both sides of the border. border, and ultimately to make the United States more dependent on foreign oil imports from OPEC dictatorships. We don't understand it, and at the very least, we believe that those who've invested in this project, trusting in the regulatory process in the U.S., should be compensated by the U.S. administration.
Now, the bar has been set really low for this new administration. Jen Psaki, the president's press secretary, said Joe Biden is focused on 4 crises. Getting the pandemic under control. It's getting under control thanks to Donald Trump. Getting people back to work. Well, you do the first, the second follows. The climate. The hell does that even mean? And fourth, wait for it, racial equity. Those are his 4 crises. Now, Pete and Seth Talbot, the father-son owners of Relief Factor, are on a mission. They want to get people out of pain. If you have back pain, shoulder, neck, foot, hip, knee pain from exercise, or just getting older, consider ordering the 3-week Quick Start, discounted to only $19.95. Think about it. That's less than $1 a day to see if we can get you out of pain. After that, we're talking about less than the cost of a cup of coffee a day to stay out of pain. Over 70% of the people who order the 3-week Quick Start go on to order more. Give your body what it needs to heal itself. ReliefFactor.com, ReliefFactor.com, 800-500-8384, 800-500-8384.
Trending now on the Eric Metaxas Show.
What do we make of Joe Biden occupying the White House? Because I have a lot of thoughts on it. Well, my main question is, what are your thoughts of where we are now?
We are in the midst of a new administration that is going to radically change every single piece of government that they touch. We have seen in the first 24 hours the signing of some 17 executive orders that have stopped the border wall construction. They have renewed visa permits coming from countries where people cannot be vetted, like Syria and Iran and Yemen. They have engaged our enemies in a completely different way. I mean, by that, China and Iran and Russia. They have already spent tax dollars that you and I have paid to help fund abortions that have already happened in other countries outside of our borders now. These are all things that they came in on day one, signed 17 different pieces of paper, and are already transforming American policy in all of these different areas into a very different direction.
But this is obviously what America wanted, is it not?
That's what we're told. That's what we have evidently walked through the process to approve of. And the question now becomes, what do Americans think about what they've gotten? And are they going to have buyer's remorse? If people thought that the unity that we heard so much about yesterday was going to be anything that resembled actual unity, they were mistaken.
Keep up with what's trending. Subscribe on YouTube today. Trending now on the Dennis Prager Show.
You believe that this is unique in the history of vaccinations?
Well, vaccines been around for thousands of years. They told us before we got the vaccine, they want us to watch this PowerPoint about how vaccines are started, why people don't want to take it, all the different misconceptions and myths about vaccines. This particular vaccine, the Moderna one that I took, you don't get the coronavirus. They don't give it to you. It just creates a particular protein that prevents you to get it.
I understand. That's right. So when do you see us ever getting rid of masks?
I don't know. I just wish that one day we don't have to wear a mask. But right now, you have to wear a mask because you can still get the virus with this vaccine, both with the Pfizer and the Moderna, and you can still transfer it.
Hi, Larry. This is Mary, your number one fan from Connecticut. I just wanted to ask you a question. With all these executive orders that President Biden is pushing through, I was wondering if you are still going to be on the President's Council or Commission for the social status of black men and boys that you were appointed to by Donald Trump, or did they cancel that too? I hope they keep you, but who knows? Uncle Tom, best film of the year, 2020, best picture, excellent work. Love what you're doing. Love your show.
888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. I am Larry Elder. We are ReliefFactor.com studio. No, haven't heard anything from the new Biden administration about continuing the Presidential Commission on the social status of black men and black boys, although I do know that Kevin McCarthy was in Florida meeting with former President Donald Trump, who is reportedly considering forming something called the Office of the Former President. So who knows? Maybe we'll still be having meetings. I really don't know what's going to happen. Thank you very much for the question, though. Now, be sure and follow us on our YouTube channel, Larry Elder Show Radio, on YouTube, and then click on the subscribe button. That way you'll be notified every time we post a new video. And be sure and follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, and on Instagram. Maria Bartiromo of Fox has complained she's lost well over 100,000 followers. She said she was over 1 million. I was close to 1 million. I've lost about 150,000 followers. And all of a sudden, they just went away. They just disappeared. Now, you've heard me talking about MyPillow, how it's changed the quality of my sleep. They do not go flat. You can wash and dry them as often as you want. They maintain their shape. They're made right here in the country. And for a limited time, Mike is offering his premium MyPillows for his lowest price ever. And as you know, Mike is now being attacked by all sorts of people for daring to suggest that maybe, just maybe, there were some shenanigans going on in the election. He spent $2.5 million of his own money to investigate this. So let's help him. You can get a standard Queen Premium MyPillow for $29.98, originally $69.98. That's a $40 savings. Kings are only $5 more. Not only are you getting the lowest price ever, $29.98 for a standard Queen Premium, but Mike is also extending his 60-day money-back guarantee to March 1st. In fact, past March 1st. So go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener square, use promo code Larry. There you're not only going to find this amazing offer, but also deep discounts on all MyPillow products, including the Giza Dream bed sheets, the MyPillow mattress topper, and the MyPillow towel sets. Or call 800-890-1843 and be sure to use promo code Larry. Robert is in Nevada. Robert, you're on the Larry Elder Show. Thank you so much for calling.
Larry, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing well.
Hey, thank you for taking my call. I just wanted to make this short and sweet, but you really do good with your bumper music. I love it. I grew up in the 80s, 70s, 80s. I'm 59 years old, and I grew up in the country, and we played country music. I had a band, and I was very much influenced by, Stevie Wonder and Earth, Wind, and Fire and all that kind of good stuff that came up in the early 80s, late 70s. And when we had our band in high school, no one ever thought of anything racial when we were doing cover songs like Commodores. We did Brick House and, stuff like that. Everyone just loved dancing to the music. It was great music. We had the best music in the 70s and the 80s that was ever created. The best bands that were ever created. And that the music brought everyone together. And there wasn't anything racial. We were, like I said, we played country music, for Christ's sake. We played, Hank Williams and all that kind of stuff, but we played the whole barrage. We did Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight, with a hip hop.
Hippity hop, hip hop, yeah.
Yeah, dude, you don't stop. But we did it all, and everyone loved it. And we had guns in our gun racks in high school, and nobody did anything to anybody. What happened to us, my friend? What happened to our country?
Robert, look, what happened to our country is we've gone from demanding equal rights to demanding equal results. And the two are very, very different. Quick Lionel Richie story. I took my mom out for her 80th birthday. We went to a restaurant on the west side of Los Angeles, and there's Lionel Richie. My mother sees him, and she really likes his music. So I asked the waiter, would it be okay if we went over and said hello to him and tell Lionel Richie that I'm Larry Elder, and I'm hoping that he knows who I am. So he goes over, waiter comes back, he said he'd be delighted to have Mr. Elder come over and talk to him. So I came over, took my mom over. And I take it back. He came over to us. He said, just sit here. And Lionel said to come over to you. So he came over to our table. We started talking. And I said, Lionel, my mother is crazy about you, loves your music. This is her 80th. This. I took her out for her birthday. And he said, this is your birthday? He said, what are you, 30? And that's all he did. And my mother just beamed. What are you, 30? Honestly, it was embarrassing. Philip Bailey was one of the singers in Earth, Wind, and Fire. And about a couple of years ago, I'm in a restaurant, and I see a guy. I recognize him. I think it's Philip Bailey. And he picks up his smartphone, and he's looking at something. And he comes over. And he says, I just looked at this to see if that was you. You're Larry Elder. And I said, then you're Philip Bailey. And we had a delightful conversation about how much I liked his music, and it turns out he enjoys the show. Now, I'm not saying he's a Republican. I don't know what his party is. Please don't cancel Philip Bailey. Now, 100 million folks struggling with some kind of pain? Really? And you're one of them, and you're not doing anything about it? You never heard of the 3-week quick start? You see, the doctors who formulated Relief Factor selected the 4 best 100% drug-free ingredients to deal with pain. Each drug deals with pain from a different metabolic pathway. So if you've got back pain, shoulder, neck, hip, foot, knee pain from exercise or just everyday living, order the 3-week quick start for $19.95. That's less than $1 a day to see if we can get you out of pain. After that, we're talking about less than the cost of a cup of coffee a day to stay out of pain. So go to relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com, or call 800-500-8384, 800-500-8384. 30.
Trending now on the Charlie Kirk Show.
The thing I'm super curious about, fight day. What does your day look like? That day must be the longest day of the year.
It feels like, honestly, like a minute is like 2
Forever.
days.
You're like, come on, let's get this over with, right?
Literally.
Do you sleep well the night before?
Nah. Yeah, usually I'm not sleeping,
You're in your hotel room going through.
Yeah. And you just got done doing like the weight cut. So, you just lost 20 pounds and you're completely depleted. You took all the salt out of your body. You're dehydrated because you're pretty much water loading. And then you take all the water and the weight off you and you're just completely dehydrated.
And you weigh in the day before the fight.
You do weigh in the day before the fight. So you got 24 hours to rehydrate and then you fight. So like that whole process is like you're rehydrating, you're trying to put the right nutrients in, but you can't put them in too quick because if you put them in too quick, your stomach and your system's not going to take it and you're going to throw up.
So do you have a nutritionist that comes with you that helps monitor all that?
Yeah, I have a nutritionist. So
it's a fascinating. So but it's not just being able to psychologically prepare. You have to, because you're just cutting. You got to make the weight.
Yeah.
And if you don't, that's just, you're done. There's no fight. right?
Well, there's a fight, but then you have to give up 30% of your purse. So if you're fighting for $1 million, you got to give up $300,000.
Have you ever not made the weight?
Never. I'm a true professional. I'm a businessman. When I sign a contract, I'm a man of my word. I'm going to show up and I'm going to make weight and I'm going to handle my business like a businessman.
Wow. And so then the day of the fight, what time do you wake up? What does that look like? What do you do? Do you watch TV? Do you just say, like, let's get this day over with as quickly as possible?
Usually when I wake up, I'll have like a bunch of carbs, like some pancakes, because, I've been depleting myself low carbs for a couple weeks. So I'll have some pancakes, I'll have some eggs, some turkey sausage, some healthy stuff. And then it's just visualizing, watching a little bit of tapes to see, what areas a guy's good in, and to see what his strengths are and to see what his weaknesses is. And then it's just really just being by myself, just making sure it's just my thoughts and my feelings and my emotions. I don't want anybody else. I don't want to hear what anybody.
Huge fan, love everything that you do. You're the best in the business, man. I'm dead serious. You need to run in 2024. I'm not voting Republican. I'll waste a vote and vote Libertarian. Love you, man. Keep up the great work. Thanks.
Did he say his name was Anthony Elliott?
Hey, Larry, this is Anthony Elliott from Vice.
He sure did. My brother had a really good friend named Anthony Elliott. They were Goombas. I haven't heard from Anthony Elliott in a while. Maybe I should reach out. Thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it. 888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. I am Larry Elder. We are ReliefFactor.com studio. The zip poll question I left you with yesterday. Do you believe the Senate will convict President Trump of incitement to insurrection? 13% say yes, 87% say no. Here's the one for tonight. We'll go over the results tomorrow. Do you want former President Donald Trump to start a third party? Yes or no? In order to participate, you must be a member of the Zip community. Go to your app store, download the Zip app by searching under Zip Poll USA, and be sure to use my code SAGE, S-A-G-E. Now, I want you to listen to this answer that Jen Psaki, the new press secretary, gave about why Biden is suspending the rule that protects our power grid from possible China interference. Here's what she said.
In an executive order that the president signed last week, he also suspended a Trump administration executive order that was particularly aimed at keeping foreign countries, specifically China, from interfering in the U.S. power grid. But he suspended that for 90 days in that executive order last week. Given what you said about China today, why did he do that, especially related to something so critical to our national security as the power grid?
I think the president's view on our relationship with China, I tried to do my best to convey to all of you. I'll have to check on that specific piece.
She has no clue. None.
You do that, especially related to something so critical to our national security as the power grid.
I think the president's view on our relationship with China, I tried to do my best to convey to all of you. I'll have to check on that specific piece, and we'll circle back with you directly. I'll circle back if there's more I can share with you. But I'll circle back with you if there's more to convey. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle.
She's going to get dizzy.
Back with. I'm happy to circle back with you. I can circle back. I will have to circle back on that one. That's an excellent question. Oh, such an important question. We will circle back with you, and we'll circle back with you. It's an interesting question, but we'll circle back. I'm happy to circle back, but I'll have to circle back with you on it. It's a good question, but we'll circle back with you on this today. We will certainly circle back with you more directly. I hate to disappoint you, but I will have to circle back with you on that as well.
Well, I hope you all circle back tomorrow for the Larry Elder Show. I am Larry Elder. Remember, we've got a country to save. Be safe.